Hello, my name is Nan Hedgspeth and I'm running for City Council Place 2. I was a registered nurse for 39 years. In 2011, I bought a condominium in Gulf Shores, Alabama. In 2015, I became a permanent resident of Gulf Shores. I started to go to council meetings in 2015, and I started to feel like that there was not a clear voice at the council meetings. I would notice that there would be developments popping up in areas next to me. There would be roads that were torn up that I didn't know that was going on, and then I just really felt blindsided by all the development that was going on. There was no transparency from City Hall, and it was extremely hard for me to understand what was going on in our city government. So fast forward to 6 years later, and I'm running for City Council Place 2. And I am on the campaign trail, and I'm hearing the locals tell me as I go door to door talking to them the very same thing that I felt whenever I started listening to and paying attention to the city. They're telling me they're tired of being blindsided with developments. They're tired of their roads being torn up for over a year and a half. They're having a hard time with transparency in city government. So here we are, 6 years later, and the same thing is going on. I am really starting a Locals First platform, but I can't talk about Locals First without first talking about tourism. Tourism is extremely important. It is actually 62% of our city budget. So I understand how important that industry is for our city. But our locals need to feel like after the tourists leave that they are important, because they're what is left. After the tourists are gone, we're only left with us, the locals. And right now we have a lot of unbridled growth and development. Our infrastructure is under a strain. Highway 59 is 140% over capacity, and residents now trying to get from one place to the other, just their activities of daily living, is very stressful. In fact, it's a nightmare. I want to be a reasonable and deliberate voice for change in our community. I want to be your clear voice at City Hall. I want to be the clear voice that makes those rational and deliberate decisions. And I would like for you to vote on August 25th for Nan Hedgspeth, City Council, Place 2. Thank you.
One of the challenges faced by many of our local businesses is finding and maintaining adequate staffing to operate their business year-round. The challenge is complex and changes throughout the year based on our tourist seasons, but a large part of the challenge appears to be due to a lack of educational and training opportunities and affordable housing options in our area. Are you aware of these workforce development issues, and how would you help our businesses address these challenges?
I have heard of the challenges that you're describing. And as far as affordable housing in our area, there is some things on the table in Gulf Shores where they are talking about putting up student dormitories. And that is something that is on the table. Now, I don't think that that has gone through yet, but is something that is being discussed. As far as the challenges of the training, that is absolutely a problem, I assume, for our chamber members and the businesses. They are just going to have to advertise and ask people to come in and work for them. It is a challenge. I would assume that if they're not paying a good wage, possibly minimum wage would be a problem for some of these people. I am aware that there are some foreign exchange students or foreign students that are coming over and working in those positions. I do hope that those students are not taking opportunities away from our local people that might be needing to work. Again, I would do all I could to help.
As our local area and economy grows, we need investments to expand and improve existing infrastructure. Such investments include things like better educational facilities, quality healthcare facilities, continued traffic improvements such as new roads and bridges, expanded access to high-speed internet, and better access to our natural resources and public facilities. What infrastructure issues would you like to address, and would you support continued investments to expand our existing infrastructure?
as a nurse, I nursed for 39 years, so healthcare is very important to me. Medical care for everyone on the in the Gulf Shores city limits, that's important. And we are building a new medical facility that is going to be finished, I think, in a year. That's going to be a great addition to our city, and I am thankful that we do have that coming. Also, infrastructure right now is strained because of all of this development that is going on. We do have a lot of unbridled development, and unfortunately, there's a lot of developers that are attracted to our city. And it's becoming somewhat of an alarming rate that these people are being attracted to our city because our infrastructure is not there. And we do need to upgrade our roads. Our Highway 59 is 140% over capacity right now, and the state gives that a rating of F, which is the worst that you can have. So I absolutely do want to continue to work with ALDOT and to continue to get the Restore grants and to work with the Build grants. And if that means that the city has to invest in those things, I'm really willing to work on that. There's only one way in and out right now out of Gulf Shores. That could put us into a very dangerous and precarious position, especially whenever we're known to have natural disasters. And as far as our beach and the other areas that you're talking about, absolutely, we need to always try to save that. I will do whatever we need to do as far as a city to take care of our wetlands and our environmental issues.
Large events that are hosted in our area attract hundreds of thousands of visitors and help stimulate our local businesses throughout the year. Such large events have been proven to benefit our local economy, but must also be balanced with the local quality of life issues. Do you have a position on the concerns with our area hosting such events that attract large crowds to our city, and what might you do to address those citizens' concerns?
There has to be a balance. Those large events that are held here in our city are important. Our city should be getting a large revenue cut of those events. I do not know what the contracts are, but we do have the Hangout Festival that attracts a large crowd. And as I was knocking on doors on 2nd Street in Gulf Shores, I heard horror stories from the citizens that live there. I mean, some of it I can't even talk about in this forum, but there has to be a balance because I'm sure there's revenue being brought in. But if those are things that we have to talk about, we also have to find a way to replace that revenue. We can't just, do away with an event without replacing it with something. I do think that perhaps we do need to increase our police presence, our law enforcement, and our paramedics enforcement. I mean, we have to have those folks very close by because unfortunately those events do have consequences. So yes, I'm concerned about those large events. I think that at some point in time we probably need to let the citizens come and speak about it. We also need to let our citizens come and vote on it. I mean, I know that would probably take a referendum, and we would have to do some, I'd have to do some studies on that to see exactly what we need to do. But yeah, I think it's something we definitely need to talk about, and it's very important to various members of our community.
What is your position on how the city could balance the desire to encourage economic development with the need to limit certain types of businesses from operating in the city? And more specifically, do you think the city should have a role in controlling access to available food options, such as allowing food trucks and other food options to operate within the city?
The first part of your question is something that I would have to look a little deeper into. I do understand the question, and that you are asking, we do want to invite different types of opportunities into our community. But at some point in time, those things that are obviously against the law and those things that are legally not allowed should not be allowed. But as far as just flat out saying no to a business, there would have to be a really good reason why we couldn't have those businesses in our city. That would be something that I think that the council would have to discuss and have to make some type of a reasonable and deliberate answer that's best for our community. Our community is what's most important. And as far as the food truck issue, I think the food truck is a very great entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, that just shows, people are willing to put their money into a restaurant on wheels. Personally, I love to eat at food trucks, but I do understand there has to be rules and regulation. The health department does need to check on those food trucks. They need to be monitored to make sure they are adhering to all the rules and regulations. There should be the garbage cans that are set up. They're not allowed to have patio furniture out in front. There has to be a restroom that's close by. So there are several rules and regs that I think that need to be adhered to. But as far as them having a place in the city, I think that they definitely all have a place.